Here are today's episode highlights.
Look at how pretty we all look in pink.
Yes.
Pretty in pink,
shade of
girls.
pink.
This is a very important episode because we are diving into a very important topic, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we had to have a special guest to talk about this very important subject that affects many of us women. And that had to be you, Kristina Guerrero. I like to say Kristina Guerrero.
Kristina Guerrero.
I love it.
So to get the news that I had a very aggressive form of breast cancer, I was shell-shocked. I was super confused. I'm like, no, I don't think that. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's possible.
Wow.
And for them to tell me, if we don't get this out of your body immediately, it will kill you.
Specifically with Latinas, but we're 10% of the population that gets diagnosed with breast cancer, but we're 20% more likely to die from it because of late detection.
We have a lot to worry about as women, right?
Yes.
And we go through these little scares. I went through my little scare, I want to say like 3 years ago. Also, it was they noticed something.
And then 6 months after I was diagnosed with cancer, my show was canceled and I lost my job.
Oh my goodness.
How did you manage being a mom while going through all of this?
Honestly, they were my purpose.
Take us back to when you see yourself for the first time in the mirror and your body is different.
Yeah.
It's still beautiful. It's just different. But how do you process that?
I just wasn't ready to see it. And then when I did, I was actually getting fitted for a mastectomy bra and a prosthetic, which is like a chicken cutlet kind of thing.
Yeah, like a padding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is that what you have on now?
yes.
Okay.
And her name is Nipsey.
Nipsey.
Oh,
Yeah.
She's my ride or die.
Yeah. See, I love. Se vale tocar. Se vale tocar las tatas, tetas, titis, chichis, whatever you want to call
Boobies.
it. What do you call them? Your
Los
breast
melones.
Hey girl, welcome! We've been waiting for you.
Bienvenida. We are four comadres, and we are so excited to have you here. I am Argelia.
I am Mindy.
I am Diana.
And I'm Janet. Join us. Grab that drink.
Get comfy, settle in, and get to know us.
As we get down with some real conversations.
And raise that glass to the true power of sisterhood.
Are you ready for us?
This is Comadres Unfiltered.
Salud! For you all joining us, thank you so much. Remember this face and voice. I am Argelia Atilano.
I am Mindy Sahagan.
I am Diana.
And I'm Janet.
And I'm Kristina.
Yay! We got a fifth comadre. Together
Yes,
we
we
are
do. Comadres
Unfiltered. Oh, I love that.
I love that too.
You know, when you guys first started this and I heard comadres, I thought, well, those do not look like the comadres that my grandma had. There was Tere and Silvia and Kristina. And I'm like, that is not.
You mean they were wearing high boots like Diana?
No,
Comadre
yeah.
Diana. Look at how
Yeah.
sexy.
Sin
comadre.
vergüenza, is what my grandma would
Spicy.
say. But I love this sisterhood. And I love this tradition. I love it so much. Even though it looks a lot different than what I thought it was supposed to look like.
Right.
We have come into the modern ages.
This
of
is it.
comadres.
This is
Ay,
it.
Yes,
this is it.
exactly.
We're going to comadrear. Or as Lynette Romero said, comadrery.
Yes.
Not camaraderie.
Yeah.
Comadrery. But look at how pretty we all look in pink.
Yes.
Pretty in
Pretty
pink.
in pink,
Shade of
girls.
pink.
This is a very important episode because we are diving into a very important topic, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And we had to have a special guest to talk about this very important subject that affects many of us women. And that had to be you, Kristina Guerrero. I like to say Kristina Guerrero.
Kristina Guerrero.
I love it. Thank you
know.
for making the time to come down.
Of course. And Guerrero, of course, means warrior.
Yes.
Which is
Yes.
so
Guerrera.
apropos, especially for...
So
for-
apropos,
yeah,
for sure.
For breast
What-
cancer
that's
awareness.
right. We're going to talk about the warrior in you because Kristina, I like to say Kristina.
Oh, I love it. Yes. That sounds like that sounds like my TS.
Right? Is a cancer survivor. But before we get into that, the chismosa in me wants to know more about the famous Kristina Guerrero that we've been hearing about because of this reunion that's happening with these
Yes.
three ladies.
Yeah.
Reunion.
Our subscribers know that we have e-news. What do you guys call it?
We call it the reunion.
I love
so when we
it.
spell it out, it's like lowercase r with a capital E and the exclamation
Yeah, I
mark.
love that.
Get it
Every
right?
time. Yes. It's a
Reunion.
reunion.
No, I'm so glad to be here with them. Oh my God, we've come so far from our days at E.
Share.
We were babies.
We were babies back then.
Yeah.
We were entering this new space, which was a big deal for all of us. I want to say.
Yeah,
I
for
put
sure.
words in your mouth, but it was a big deal for us to be there. You know, we all have our stories, you know, and you did as well. And you came from many other shows.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I really kind of started my career. That was like the pinnacle. That was the dream. So when I was a little girl, I would watch Entertainment Tonight. I would watch like red carpets. I would watch, and I come from a very, very small farm town in central Washington state where like the idea of Hollywood and movie stars and like that didn't compute. But for whatever reason, I was so drawn to this. So even as a little girl, it was what I always wanted to do. And so, you know, I have like kind of that cliche Hollywood story where I left when I was 19 and I moved to Hollywood and I lived out of my car and I went to college and I'm like, I'm going to be a star one day. And, you know, moved from, you know, worked my way up. I started as an intern, as a production assistant, getting coffee, doing all those things. But like, I really knew that being in front of the camera was my dream. And working in Hollywood, it was my dream. And so, you know, I paid my dues. And when I had the opportunity to get to E! News, which at the time was like a cultural phenomenon.
I remember.
It was the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
And to have the opportunity to walk into this place that I had grown up watching, I was like, how did this, you know, greñuda, you know, she was poor, she was brown, she was, you know, how did I get here? It's by the grace of God that I just had a vision, I had a fire, and then the opportunity presented itself, and then I was like my little lone Latina at E! News.
She became
Latinas
Latinas at the news desk.
Wait, but not just a Latina in E! News, the first Latina to
crazy?
host E! News.
Yeah.
You were living the dream.
I was
You were
living the dream.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, for me, my culture has always been really important. And knowing that we didn't, like when I was growing up, that I didn't have people that looked like me. Like I always knew that would be important. And in fact, still to this day, when I hear, I mean, it makes me feel sometimes a little bit older than I should. But like, they're like, I grew up watching you and like, I saw you do it. And I thought I could do it too. And I'm like, yes, that's the purpose. That's why I did that. Like, oh man, if I could have just had that opportunity. But walking into a place that was not very brown, was never lost on me. So when I would see the brown faces, it like there was like an automatic connection.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
You're brown.
Yes.
You're brown.
Yes.
We're brown. We've got to stick together, right? And it was just so important to me. So I never took that responsibility for granted. And but also, yeah, it was a dream come true for sure.
What a dream.
Well, you went from that to hosting The List then for 11 seasons.
Yeah.
The List.
Yeah.
I remember that very well. And other
Yeah,
many
good one.
projects. But you went from interviewing like Hollywood A-listers like George Clooney, Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts, Kermit the Frog.
The big ones.
And now, you know, so many years later, we're interviewing you because you're the star. And today we want you to share your story and your journey, everything that you've been through. I mean, how life changes, right? You fulfill your dream.
Yeah.
But then another kind of warrior needs to kick in
Yeah.
when you're diagnosed with breast cancer. And this is why you're here today.
Yes.
Right.
And I would like to just say that when we talk about breast cancer, and it happens every October, and I'm a new warrior. Like I've been cancer free I was diagnosed a year and a half ago. So this is all still very new to me. But it's not like a sexy topic, right? Like
Yeah,
people, I'm like, we're talking about boobs. Okay, we're talking about breast cancer. Okay. You know, but like it's such an important topic. And I want women to, when they're here and like, oh, we're going to talk about breast cancer. Like, no, we're talking about life and death. We're talking about life-changing opportunities and perspective. We're talking about like things that can just, like the kind of resilience, the kind of like that is a sexy story.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe when we're
That's right.
talking about really hard things like breast cancer and, you know, man, it is so hard. We've lost so many people to this disease. But also there's so much hope and there's so much power and empowerment. And so I hope that people will tune in today. And also, can we laugh a little bit?
Yes,
Oh my God, we're so gonna laugh.
We are.
so
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
laugh.
yeah.
And I
Can
wanna
we
say-
not laugh? Like we always laugh when we're together.
I know.
But that's what makes us different. Latinas, we laugh tragedy or
Yes.
illness or even death, because we just, we've done episodes that talk about grief, and we are allowed to laugh. We have to laugh.
It's a part. It's a part of the journey, and it's also the levity. I think that sometimes people need to be able to like get into these conversations where it can kind of be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like I remember just like, I just I'm like, when I told my mom, it was a really hard conversation to have, and I said, well, Mom, she's emotional, obviously, and I was like, well, Mom, I'm just, I'm going to keep you abreast of everything. She's like, Cristinita, that is not funny. She's like, oh, you think you're funny? You think you're funny? I'm like, Mom, you're my breast friend. You are my breast friend, Mom. She's like, that's not funny.
I love your sense of humor.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's
It's
what keeps you
amazing.
afloat.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
Right?
Mhm.
But we're going to talk about statistics, and I know that we're going to keep it light here as well.
But it's super important.
It's important, so
Especially for our Latina sisters.
yes,
Yes.
and I'm so happy that we're having this conversation. But the thing is that when you hear this statistic that 1 out of every 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in their lifetime, and
Scary.
we think it's not going to happen to me. There's no way. I've been a good girl. No le debo nada a nadie. I'm not paying some like afterlife or before life. But then when it hits you, but you're here to tell us that it can happen to anyone, anytime, especially if we don't get checked.
I think I had this huge misconception, which was it doesn't run in my family. Like
Right.
my
Yes,
mom doesn't
yes.
have breast cancer, my sisters don't, my tias don't, my grandma did. Like we just didn't have it, and so I just had this misconception like that's something that runs in your
Genetics.
family. Right,
Genetics.
genetics. I'm kind of healthy-ish. I probably drink more than I should have, but like I'm pretty young, and like I only got my mammogram because as a journalist every October I would tell women like, hey, it's time to go get your mammograms.
So practice what you preach, right?
Yes, but never did I do it because I was like, oh, I really did it like check it off my to-do list.
Yeah.
Don't be a hypocrite. If I'm going to tell women to do it, I should go do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So to get the news that I had a very aggressive form of breast cancer, I was shell-shocked. I was super confused. I'm like, no, that I don't think that. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's possible.
Wow.
And for them to tell me, if we don't get this out of your body immediately, it will kill you. First of all, that is a very humbling thing to hear. But the second thing is, had I not gone to get that mammogram, had I just been like, oh, I'll go next year, or like 6 months passed, I'll do it the next time.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would be sitting here today.
Unbelievable.
I
Did you
don't-
have any symptoms or anything like that?
No, I literally just went for my year. Usually I would try to do it around my birthday as like
Okay.
kind of like a gift to myself.
Right.
A gift to myself, my gift of health. And then also like a reminder. Okay, it's my birthday. I have to go do that because
Right.
you kind of lose track of time. And so no, I didn't have any symptoms. I was just doing my yearly mammogram, go and see my lady doctor. She puts her hand up my hoo-ha. She makes sure everything's good there. And I'm like, okay, cool. We good? She's like, yeah, you're good. And then, and then I went and got my mammogram, and they were like, there's something going on. They didn't know exactly what it was for a while.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Was this the first time you were getting your mammogram?
This is my third time.
Their
That
third
was
time.
your third.
Because
Okay.
I got, you're supposed to start getting it when you're 40. Well,
Apparently.
yes.
I'll share a story, but we'll get to
Yeah.
that later.
Yes, because there's a huge discrepancy there. But with insurance, is when you're 40 years old, you should start. So I had already started getting my mammogram, and it's actually fascinating. I saw the picture of my mammogram from the year before, and then a picture of my mammogram 1 year later, and you can see that the mass had already grown within 365 days.
Like, how does that happen?
I know. Well, and that's the thing about cancer. I mean, all I wanted to do was like, how did this happen? What did I do?
Or did not do.
Or didn't do? Like, why did this
triggered it?
happen
Yeah.
to me? And so, but there wasn't a lot of time to think. It was like, we got to get this out of you. I had a lumpectomy, which is where they just take out the cancer. What they found was that around the margins, it's kind of like the outer part of the cancer, is that there was still cells, like cancer cells.
Wow.
So they didn't know how far it had reached. So they said, we're going to have to remove your entire right breast. So that happened. I was diagnosed in January, and by April I had a unilateral mastectomy where they had to remove my entire right breast.
Right breast.
So
Yeah.
unilateral is just one.
Just one.
Yes.
Yeah. The kind of cancer, a lot of times they'll do like they'll do both.
Mm-hmm.
But the kind of cancer that I had, it doesn't move in a way that it's, I don't actually even know the kind, but it wouldn't affect the other. A lot of times they'll do it proactively, remove the other one before it, gets, but mine didn't travel.
Didn't
that
mutate
way.
to that the other one.
Right.
So I lost my right boob.
I want to take it back to that moment, though.
Okay.
So you go visit the doctor's office and then you get this diagnosis, right? And there are so many women that are receiving these diagnoses and they feel lost, right? It's like, where do I start? What now?
Yeah.
Like, what now, right? And it's not just breast cancer. It's, lung cancer or whatever else it is. It's like, where do I go for more information? Do I just go with what my doctor is saying? Do I get a second opinion? So what did you do when you got that diagnosis?
I was in denial for a little while. And it's so interesting that you asked that, because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to Google. I didn't know how to even understand what a pathology report was. Because I was kind of in this haze, I went to my friend who had survived breast cancer, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, you start with this doctor and then you listen to everything he says. She's like, he saved my life. But it was really isolating. It was really isolating because this is a disease that kills people, that kills women. I've got 2 babies at home and it's growing inside of me. I was so operating on 2 completely different levels. On the one hand, I was like, Mom, I was working, I was going to soccer practices, I was potty training. And on the other hand, I'm like, I have breast cancer? Like, I could die?
Well, especially when you say your doctor said, we need to get this out of you ASAP.
Right
and
away.
she's saying what I was saying to her yesterday was when they tell you it's life or death, you don't have
It's
time
like
to
a
research and start
death
reading
sentence.
books. I mean, I would be like, get it out of me tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, how soon can we get this out? But
Yes.
obviously there's research to do. There are appointments to make. It's not immediate.
Yes.
But you're living proof, Kristina, that when you act on it quickly and when it's early detection, you can survive this.
Yes.
It is when it's detected super late because we ignore the mammos and the ultrasounds that it's so late to treat because it's aggressive now and it's spreads
all
the
over.
body. And so that's why we need to make it a point to really emphasize early detection saves lives.
Absolutely.
It's insane how we prioritize checking our tires, checking our cars, making sure the house is fine, our kids' lunch, everything is a priority.
Botox appointments, our nail appointments.
Yes, but we always leave ourselves for later. I don't have time right now for that. We underestimate the power of early detection.
Yeah, and I think about it because, like I said, I normally do it in October, which is my birthday, and there was something kept coming up. Something kept coming up. So I that mammo didn't even happen till December.
Oh, wow.
Because I kept putting it off. And I was like, I'll do it at the first of the year. And I was like, just insurance is going to run out at the end of the year. I might as well go do it
now.
But there's this feeling like we're it'll never happen to us, unless, of course, you think it does. There's people who are proactive because their mom had breast cancer or because they're prone to it or they're prone to the gene or whatever the case is. But I wasn't. I didn't have any of those things. I just happened to go in and I thank God that I didn't think I'm just going to wait. I'll just wait till next year.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It was fine 12 months ago when I went.
Yeah.
I'll be fine. I'm fine.
How old were you?
43 years old.
Okay. So it's young.
Yeah. I mean, I like
really
to think
young.
so.
Yes, it is young.
No, it is.
That's
It's
right.
very young.
Years ago, I used to be like, cancer's for old people.
For old people.
Older
Yes.
women.
Yes.
But when we were
you don't
young, we used to
but-
think 40 was old,
Right.
but we're
Yes.
not
So
freaking
true.
old.
No. God.
Yes,
Our
the
40s.
comadres that I thought we're wearing orthopedics. We've got these beautiful boots on and stilettos. Yeah, no, the idea of what old means, and then let's not forget also that what that 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago is not what it is today. Women are getting diagnosed with breast cancer at younger and younger and younger.
That's scary.
That's very
That's
very
scary,
scary.
and that's what actually I think struck me the most when we were doing just some research for the episode, and it was specifically with Latinas. But we're 10% of the population that gets diagnosed with breast cancer, but we're 20% more likely to die from it because of late detection, and also because we get more aggressive forms of breast cancer, and that is something that I didn't know.
How do you control that?
You get early detection, and unfortunately, because of these insurances, they're not allowing you to start that mammogram space until you're 40, and you have to get it done earlier because Latina women specifically, are getting them younger and younger and younger. And that's been something that I hear a lot of people advocating for, right? It's just like women's health, menopause, women's health, and then breast, awareness, breast cancer awareness, and to get them earlier. And I'm sure that's something that, when you were going through it, like, how did you feel did you learn about all of these? Because
Yes, because I had all of these really like ignorant misconceptions that it just happens to older women, that it's very genetic. I also, as a Latina, thought about other diseases that we face, like diabetes or heart disease. Like, that's the stuff that, like, Latinas, that's what those are the things we need to think about. Breast cancer, to me, just really didn't seem like something that we were aware of, or was not our, I don't want to say it wasn't our problem. It just didn't seem so prevalent to me.
Exactly.
Right.
Especially because we're always told that when we take a shower during our menstruation, like, let's do the self-checkup.
Right.
I didn't even do that many times.
No.
Because I'm like, well, I forget, or I don't feel like it's important.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. So so they're like, there's something going on. At that time, I didn't know that it was cancer. And it was the first time that I was like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
I was like,
You felt it.
how did I not? Because
You
I
felt something.
Yes, I felt something.
something.
But it was only because they had told me to feel something, not
Yes.
because I was there in the shower
for it.
doing the, you know.
Right.
That's why in Mexico, there was a very important campaign, I want to say like 3 years ago, that Latina women, we're so shameful to even touch our bodies.
Interesting.
Touching our bodies, that's this campaign became very popular, and it's called Se Vale Tocar. Se vale tocar, se vale tocar. Y se vale tocar, even maybe you're married and you can't touch yourself because you're not used to touching yourself.
Well, let him touch you.
Let him touch you. Your
Tell him to
husband,
touch you.
who loves you, he's already fondling you. Let him feel you. Y dice,
Every
mi amor,
month, my love, every month I
esta bolita no es normal. Es así.
Give her a massage.
No, really.
A booby
And that
massage.
campaign became successful because Mexico was trying to normalize it's okay to touch our bodies and have him touch you, while you're having intimacy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so fascinating. I've learned so much about like the reasons that our culture doesn't really take it seriously, and I've never heard that before, but it like makes so much sense because we are taught at a very young age to be very shameful of our bodies.
And then nobody can touch
it.
Exactly.
And like
Also the resources in Mexico. I don't know. I know like my mom's family, every time I go to the doctor, they ask you family history.
Yes.
To be honest, I don't know what kind of medical, history my aunts and uncles and all that have. So I don't know if they knew. Maybe my mom would just say, "Oh, se murió tu tía." ¿De qué? Ay, pues yo no sé nomás. She was in the hospital for a month and she died. But that's the thing. I'm like, how did they not know? Like maybe they didn't know they had some form of aggressive
Diana,
cancer.
I don't think our grandmas ever had a mammogram.
That's what I'm saying.
I cannot
Or a
imagine
pap
my
smear.
mom
Or a pap smear.
started getting her
Like,
mammo's
yeah.
gear in free clinics.
Yes.
Right.
She had no insurance.
well,
So it
that's
was
the other
free
thing
clinics.
is the discrepancy
Exactly.
of care and feeling like you can access that care.
Right.
Like I don't have
Exactly.
insurance, or I, don't have my citizenship, or whatever the case might be. Is there's that they don't feel like they're like it's accessible to them.
But the words matter, because when I started to realize that my mom was like aging, 50 plus, and I remember she said, "Oh, me voy a hacer mamograma. I'm going to get the mammo." And I said, "Okay." And then she She does it. She comes back and she starts saying, oh, that was painful. They put my boobie like a pancake. It hurt so everything was pain.
Mm-hmm.
So what does Argelia grow up thinking? I'm never going to get the mammo. That thing is going to hurt me.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, when I had my first mammo at 35, after giving birth to Camila, I had a calcification and they saw something weird. So that's why they sent me to go my mammogram for the very first time. It was not painful at all for me. At all. I know it's different for every woman.
It's a little awkward.
It's awkward
Yeah,
because they're
awkward.
putting it against these plates.
But you know what's awkward is getting breast cancer.
Oh, God,
like
yes.
that's awkward.
That's painful.
Yes,
That's awkward.
exactly.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I feel. People actually, Chiqui Cerevera, she interviewed me and she said, "I hear it hurts," and I'm like, "You heard wrong."
Yeah, exactly.
It no, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
I think for my mom. Back then, I think it meant painful in the fact that she was exposing her body.
Another thing.
And for her, that was more of the why she was so nervous. And for her, it was
Feeling
just
very vulnerable.
uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable because you have to, can't breathe, hold your breath.
Yeah.
And they're moving your
they're
boob around a little bit, right?
Touching it.
Positioning it.
Men will never understand
No,
that.
my God. ¿Cómo nos manosean,
Nos
verdad?
manosean gacho.
Dios
But it's
mío.
for our own good, right?
Yes,
it is
it
for
is.
our own good.
We have a lot to
Absolutely.
worry about as women, right?
Yes.
And we go through these little scares. I went through my little scare, I want to say like 3 years ago. Also, it was they noticed something, right? I would go every single year.
So you've always gone to go get your mammogram.
Every year I went, starting at about 45, right? So, and I
That
had
was late, Coma.
It was
They didn't send you at 40?
no, because I never no. It was
Really?
later, yeah.
Wow.
And this was 10 years ago because you're 55
Yes,
now.
I'm 55
now. Okay,
now,
so,
so
I think
10
it
years
has
of doing that.
changed.
Things have changed
They
and
have.
numbers have been moved around because also the facts that have come out, right? The studies that they've done. So when I went, everything was great. Also, I also said nobody in my family history has breast cancer. I have nothing to worry about, honestly. But I did it because, I did the PEP and I did the mammogram at the same time.
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah, like, get those
Get it
two
over
things
with.
done. It's all good. And then they noticed like a little pinpoint on one of my breasts, and they're like, okay, well, we need to send you off to go get a mammogram. An ultrasound.
Ultrasound.
So they did that, and they said, okay, we do see something, but we're going to keep an eye on it. So I went back 6 months later, no growth, everything stayed the same, and then 6 months later, nothing. So the next couple years, nothing. It stayed the same, thankfully. But I have to admit that now I'm a little bit guilty because my insurance, I went through changes with my insurance, especially after my, divorce. And I haven't done it in 2 years, and I'm about to get it done next Wednesday.
Okay, that's great.
Because I'm here.
Yeah.
Maybe because you knew I was coming and I was going to ask you.
No, actually, no. I just got it on the calendar because I've been putting it off also. I'm going to go do this. I've got to go do that. So I've been putting it off. But I have to admit something that I've been feeling a little bit of pain on one of my, a little bit of pain here. And it might be a muscle. Maybe I did too many arms.
Then again, we also had breast augmentation, which is a different. It's another type of thing to worry about with breast augmentation.
So I haven't really talked much about this, but I will say that I had a breast reduction. And so when they said we see something, I was like, it's scar tissue.
Yeah, scar tissue.
And I will say too that before I started getting pains, it started at my nipple and it would like shoot pains right through here. And I was like, oh, it's from my surgery.
Yeah.
And it's the same side in which that I had my tumor. So when something feels off, like when you're like, oh, something's not right, that is when it is. Just go.
Yeah.
Just
check it
go.
out.
I've heard women like, I don't want to go because what if it is something?
Well, that's why.
That's where you go.
You want to know.
But you know what?
Exactly.
That's a real thing.
is
They
real?
don't want to know.
They'd rather not know.
Yeah, and there's so many men and women that
Yeah.
are like that they just rather not know.
It's almost like ignorance is bliss. As long as I don't give it any attention, it's not like it's just denial, right? It's fear and denial. So yeah, no, I've heard that like, oh, I don't want to go because what if they tell me I have something? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's the good part.
It is scary because I know
It
last
is.
year they found something on I always had to do the mammogram and the ultrasound because of the dense breasts.
Yes.
Oh,
Which is
that's
another
dense
situation.
breasts.
You have dense breasts. You have to go through that second screening, which is very uncomfortable and very expensive. Because when you have insurance, the insurance covers you 100% for the mammo. But every time they send you the ultrasound, guess what? you got to pay that on your own. And it's always between $500, $600.
Yeah.
And it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And every year I'm like, I'm always clear. I'm in the clear, but I have to make a confession as well because my situation has changed this year. And, you know, we are independent.
Yeah, independent now.
My insurance is very different now. And so what does that mean? That this year, I just had my mammo last week. Well, the first week of October.
Okay.
Which is always like, I'm like you, on October, you know, breast cancer awareness.
Yeah.
I scheduled it on purpose in October. And my doctor said, okay, you have to do the ultrasound because of your dense breast. And here I'm thinking, I've been doing the freaking ultrasound for the last, since I'm 35. They never caught anything. You're just taking my money. No, I'm not going to do the ultrasound.
Yeah.
So I'm just waiting to get my mammo back, the screening, which I haven't gotten it yet. But if I see something, I'll be like, okay, I'll do the ultrasound. But I'm at this point thinking, I cannot just throw my money, I'm thinking, but then I'm like, what if this is the year that something funky happens, like it happened with you from one year to another?
Yeah, it did happen. I mean, it really did happen from one year to another. But I also had dense breasts, and I never had to do. It wasn't like it wasn't required until they saw something.
So it's Kristina, for every year they made me get an ultrasound, and last year an
too.
MRI, which that really freaked me out.
Oh yeah, MRI.
Now the MRI really freaked me out because they said they saw something. So MRI, my heart was racing. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anyone. I'm like, let me just get this done with. Pray to God that you know everything's in there. Everything was fine. So I think if I'm fine last year from an MRI, what can happen in the year? But hearing your story, it does make me nervous now.
That within a year, things can
within
change.
6 months.
It happened that fast. And especially because mine was so aggressive. And if you were saying Latinas are more prone to more aggressive forms of cancer, I just would say better safe than sorry.
I'm just waiting to get my mammogram.
But get your mammogram.
Because it doesn't let me sleep anyways. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go do it. Because I couldn't even sleep thinking, what if? What if?
Yeah, and it's a small price to pay for peace of mind.
And that what if doesn't go away.
I know.
And the wonderful thing these days is also that you could do like full body scans, and you can get them done. You know,
Where?
there's some Prenuvo, and there's other companies,
third parties
that you go. You have to pay for it. It's always out of pocket, right? These full body scans, but you can find promo codes where you can get them done for under $2,500. Like. You know, Andy found a promo code for like $1,500 full body scan. So that, you know, a cousin of mine who came down with cancer also, thankfully, because of that full body scan, he detected lung cancer, a non-smoker. We don't have lung cancer in our family. And there you go. And he's a doctor. He's a radiologist.
Oh my gosh.
Cousin Omar. Oh, God bless him. Because he, you know, they took it out and they discovered that it was actually cancer. And it grew within 6 months from a little dot into like a quarter size cancer. So it was quite aggressive, I believe.
We do live in a new time.
Yeah,
I mean, we live in a new time where these incidences are happening more and more often.
Exactly.
Like I just had I celebrated my birthday last week, and
happy belated.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
So I mean, it takes on a different meaning now, right?
Yes,
it's survival.
Yes, absolutely. It is a gift. It is a gift to celebrate another year. But with my 45 years, I was gifted a colonoscopy. So now I have to go at 45, you have to go get a colonoscopy.
Welcome to the club.
I don't want to go get mine, but yes, I have to.
You're not gonna feel a thing. Okay, you know how
put you to sleep,
mammogram,
right?
you feel that pancake.
Yeah.
Here, girl, you're hi. You wake up, and you're like, what happened? And they're like, here are your snapshots of your inside.
No, you know what?
You don't
scares
feel
me?
it.
The prep. It's the prep. I wear that, drinking that gallon of nastiness.
That would be the worst.
Yeah.
The prepping.
I think for me, if this had not happened to me, I would have been like, colonoscopy? I think I'm good.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, okay,
get it
give me all of the things.
See, but the great thing about the colonoscopy is that once you do it and you're fine, you don't have to do it for 10 years.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
10 years.
You don't have to wait.
It's not like a yearly thing.
No.
Goodness.
Wait,
Okay.
I just found out pap smears are now every 5 years.
What?
Is that true? Yes, that's
If
my
you don't have
doctor
any
said.
pre-existing
Exactly.
conditions or anything that they're worried about, and if you're
Any
with the
red
same
flags?
partner, they sometimes will
Yeah, you have your checkup, but they don't have to go and
Right.
scrape and all that.
Yes.
Oh,
That happens
okay.
this year too.
Yeah.
I do want to rewind a little bit
Yes.
regarding the
Colonoscopy?
Yeah, because I'm 55. I've never done it.
Girl, you are so
I am
overdue.
So late.
We're talking
late,
this
girl.
podcast episode
I'm
is
serious.
for
Let's trust
you.
Mindy
Oh, yeah.
and all the Mindys out there. Girlfriend.
Because why
Okay,
do you
my
think
fear
that
is first of all, I didn't know that they put you to sleep. I
You
thought
don't like
were
it up
awake
the butt?
and you're like going, oh god, like a pap, right? Like, oh
mamá.
Not so far
Mamá,
out.
y te van a meter. They're gonna
So you don't do butt play, huh?
Oh my God.
You're not gonna.
No butt play for me. Don't go near there. Do not even think about it. Stay away from
You
that
said you
shit.
wanted to laugh, Kristina. This is Medina, okay?
But here was my fear. I'm like, do people have to shave and do the whole like Brazilian?
Oh no!
It's not a date.
A day with the
Girl. Okay, just so that you know, colonoscopy is through your butthole.
That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
Well,
You don't need
that's
to shave. They're not. You're gonna
Oh,
be
wait.
flipped.
That's what she said, Brazilian.
Oh, she doesn't know Brazilian?
No, I've seen Brazilian. I've seen pictures. I've
Oh,
never. Well, I shave
oh.
myself if you want to know. Like
Oh.
I'm always clean. I'm always shaving. You never know when there's a moment with your hubby.
Okay.
You need to
I
be.
was like-
You need to be shaving. I'm shaved all the time, girlfriend.
Am
Every
I
time I'm
trying to
Yes,
wax?
yes, of course, always. Clean.
So my worry was like, oh my God, my ass. Like, you have to shave that ass and, what do they whiten that ass?
Wait, are you serious? Mindy, these were your concerns?
This
is why you didn't do it?
Those were secondary concerns. First was like, I'm awake and they're going to be like doing it like,
No, you're not awake.
pain. So you're thinking
You're not gonna
pain.
feel
pain.
a
I'm like,
thing.
oh my God.
The only thing you're gonna feel is when they put the little
IV.
IV,
in.
and then the doctor says, "So Mindy, how was your day?" "Oh, doctor, the day." And that's it. You're knocked out.
Okay.
They're gonna flip you over to the side.
De ladito, de ladito.
An expert. These doctors see buttholes all day. They're not gonna be like, "Ooh, nice booty," or maybe I don't know. But it is super quick. They put in the little camera. They take the shots that they need.
Mhm.
Take it out and then they analyze everything.
It's a little video.
And they're gonna give you the pictures, and you're gonna be like,
So
"Ah!"
it's like a tour
That's
of
what I
your-
look like
Oh,
inside.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this is so
Of your
helpful
colon.
though
Yes.
because I feel like there's probably so many
Yeah.
women
Oh,
and
for sure.
men
Who are
that
afraid of getting the Brazilian when they don't have to.
They're like, wait.
No fear, girls. No fear.
You're Brazilian. Okay, my husband and I did this together, the colonoscopy.
Yes.
We did
Oh.
it back to back. So we went through the process.
Like literally? Wait, literally?
That did not sound okay. We did it back to
Back to back in the same room. You held hands
Kristina,
together.
where is your mind, girlfriend? I love this warrior. She's like, we started
It's like a couples massage. We're going to get a couples colonoscopy, baby.
I know.
Actually,
Let's
people
hold
do
hands.
that.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
I bring it up because you could do it with your partner and
Yes.
make it an experience like we're in this together, hon. Because it is
Oh,
not.
really?
It's the first
Right.
time can be very scary because you don't know. It's like the first time you give birth, right? You don't
We'll
know.
go
what
with
it's
you,
gonna feel
Mindy.
like.
We'll document it.
Do it, Okay, who
Yes.
here has not done a
I don't-
colonoscopy?
I am not.
No,
I
I
this
don't
is my
think I'm
first year.
owed one
How old are
until
you?
43.
Oh no, you're still.
I'm
you
still
still got 2 more
this
years.
year. I just actually got prescribed one, or like a
Vaya
couple weeks ago.
fuerza.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
let's go.
You
Oh,
should
yeah,
do it
back
together.
to back. We can go get our Brazilian waxing done too.
Well, I know
before we
I
go.
shaved too, so I'm good.
Maybe it's a single doctor. You never know.
I know.
Oh, well then.
It's so funny, girls.
If
that we're
anybody
talking
knows a
about-
hot, what is it,
No, you
oncologist?
don't want. It gets real. You don't want a hot
Oh, that is
doctor.
true. That is
I
true.
don't.
No, never mind.
I want
Never
a
mind.
female doctor.
But see how we're
Yeah.
Latinas? She's
Yeah.
worried about the Brazilian. When I get my mammals, I make sure I'm so like clean shaven and I'm like, because it's
Presentable.
like, yeah, presentable.
Mhm.
But let's take it back to
Okay,
Kristina.
sorry.
A lo que vino. So, Kristina, you've been in the public eye, your entire career in front of cameras. And so how did you balance the Kristina on screen to the Kristina now sharing her journey through social media, which I absolutely love, by the way, how you've
Aw,
shared that.
thank you. Yeah.
But what ship changed for you? Because now you don't have to wear makeup at all.
Yeah.
You're showing yourself in such a vulnerable way, physically,
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally.
I feel that this is the most important work that I could be doing, and I feel most comfortable and authentic in my skin right now. I think it's having gone through a life or death situation where really like my perspective on life truly changed. I say it was like it's like in the Wizard of Oz where Dorothy's going through like a tornado and then it lands and then she walks out and everything's like in Technicolor.
Mhm.
Like after I survived breast cancer, everything was like brighter. Like the sky was bluer, the grass was greener, my kids, their smiles were just more precious than I'd ever seen before. And so I just feel like I was given this new opportunity, this like rebirth to really do things differently in my life. And so being able to authentically share my story, I think connects with people way more than anything that I ever did in front of the camera with celebrities, obviously. So I'm in my most comfortable and authentic state right now.
That's
and that
beautiful.
feels that feels really good. That feels really good. It's a growth that I didn't ever expect to have.
Another part that you shared was your sober journey.
Yeah.
And that was very vulnerable to share.
It's it is absolutely not. I will say, so I've been sober for almost 3 years.
So wait, you stopped drinking like
Let me tell you guys,
wine?
this is
wine? Because I need my wine
all
every
of
day.
it. Yes.
Really?
So
All of it.
I got sober 1 year before my diagnosis, and I do not believe that was a coincidence. I believe that was the good Lord Almighty protecting me and preparing me for this journey that I was about to go on. Because it was exactly almost a year to the day that I got diagnosed. I got sober in January 1st, which is a New Year's Eve.
Okay.
I started out as a dry January, and then I realized that I had really gotten to a point that alcohol did not serve me in the way that I had initially thought it was serving me.
Okay.
I was always like the fun chick who loved wine and margaritas and let's drink beers. And it had gotten to a place where I could not. I was very much a functioning alcoholic in that I didn't constantly think about alcohol. I was able to work and be a mom and all these things, but I relied on it so much for my coping mechanism. I relied on it when I was happy. I relied on it when I was sad, when I was depressed, when I was excited. Everything. For everything.
There was a reason.
I'm cooking. Let's have some wine.
Yeah, I didn't know.
For everything.
Yes.
That's me.
I was going to say, wait a minute. We know someone.
The thing is that I don't like to cook. And so when I cook to make it fun, I have to have my glass of wine. It's more of the ambiance mood.
Yes.
And I'm sipping here and there. But,
sure.
you know, I do want to catch myself and see if I do depend on it a lot for happy moments, sad moments. So I want to hear more about your story.
It had just gotten to a point in my life where I realized that I was not controlling alcohol. Alcohol was controlling me. I didn't think it was that bad until I took a step back and I realized I don't even know who I am without alcohol.
Oh, wow.
I don't even know who I am without, in social settings. If I was here before, I'd be like, why haven't we opened?
Where's the wine?
Where's the champagne? Third bottle of champagne?
Right.
Well, actually,
I know.
if we only told you how this podcast started.
Oh, no, I do know. Yeah, you
don't want to know.
Some of the best, some of the best ideas come out of.
We got champagne glasses up there.
But then we noticed we were revealing too much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're like, well, okay, let's tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
No,
but it was a very.
Were you a? Okay, I just want to have clarity on this.
Okay.
Were you a drunk? Were you drunk, or were you just social drinking just to feel, because it was a part of you to be happy?
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I am and many comadritas watching. We like to
have a buzz, have a little buzz.
Well, not even a buzz. For us, we have so much on our plate with work and kids and just anxiety and stress and
more
mental
to
health.
Take the edge off, right?
Yeah. To take the edge off.
Right.
I love my husband, but right now I can't see you. I'm going to have my glass of wine out in my backyard. That's many of us. And I do that a lot.
I used to, I used to do that. I used to go hide from my kids with a White Claw in the garage. I'm just like, you guys, I'm on these 30 minutes and 7 White Claw. Thank you very much. That was really the problem for me, is that I couldn't have just one glass of wine. I'd have 7 glasses of wine.
Okay, yeah, that's
I couldn't just have one beer. I'd have 7 beers. You know what I mean?
In
it was
one day.
It was
one
sitting. Yes, one sitting. So it wasn't all day. I would go to work drunk or I was always falling over. But I just didn't have it was either all or nothing. It's kind of who I am, and it just when I set out to go on TV, it was going to be big or not big. It was. I go all in if I'm going to go in on something.
That's a great mentality to have.
Yes, except for when it comes to alcohol.
Yeah.
But it's serving you.
Yes, it just I didn't like who I was anymore, and I had to unpack and untangle a lot of shit. I had to untangle a lot of stuff that I was hiding and keeping under alcohol. And once I did that, there was I just unpacked so much trauma, self-worth, anxiety, not feeling comfortable in my own skin. I'm like, wait a second. Where did all this come from? Well, it was all there. I was just numbing all of that. I was just numbing who who I was, all the hurt, uncomfortable feelings. I was just numbing all of it. And in that year of getting sober and unpacking all of that and learning how to manage stress and uncomfortableness and awkwardness and joy and grief and all of the things that life gives you, I was able to find a greater purpose in my faith and my spirituality. I do believe that God saved me from my drinking problem. And so I was able to find a connection that my purpose was bigger than I was allowing myself to be. And then all of that set me up to get diagnosed with breast cancer and be able to handle it in the most empowering and positive way that I could have.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
You didn't need alcohol to deal with it.
I didn't need alcohol.
Because how many women or men, when they find, that they have a serious illness, what do?
Yeah. They resort to drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. And that could be the worst thing you could ever do.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
And I don't want to be a buzzkill, no pun intended. But like alcohol and breast cancer are correlated. Like those two things are correlated. It is fun, and drinking wine and having cocktails and takes the edge off. It's also putting stuff into your body that your body might not really want.
It rejects it or wants to reject it, but we're the ones that are being stubborn.
Yeah. And so there is definitely a correlation between breast cancer and alcohol and other cancers and alcohol. And so for me, I think like had I not gotten sober, I would have had to, like, you can't drink while you're going through radiation or having surgery, having your body, parts of your body removed.
So what was your coping mechanism? What did you resort to?
A lot of prayer. I don't even know how to explain like the kind of, like, I've always been a very spiritual person, but the kind of spirituality that comes when you get sober, when you think like, I couldn't possibly get myself out of this situation, and then you're able to get yourself out of the situation by the grace of God. And I don't even like throw that phrase around lightly. And then to be like handed a cancer diagnosis and then be able to come out on the other side with that. And then 6 months after I was diagnosed with cancer, my show was canceled and I lost my job.
Oh my goodness.
It was just like
one thing after another.
Had you told your bosses already about your?
Yeah.
Okay, so they knew.
They were great. They were so great. Yeah.
And that's a big loss.
Yes.
In terms like for us TV people,
Yeah.
losing your job, especially on air.
Yeah.
Those jobs are far and in between. Like
Yeah.
that's like, I mean, that's
a
tough.
tough one.
Especially
for your
because
self-worth.
This is your
and-
dream.
Yes.
This is
You've achieved it.
This is what I love to do. And so
So don't you think it was maybe God telling you, Kristina?
Slow down.
Exactly.
Yes.
Slow down. Right now, it's all about taking care of you.
Yes.
Career can wait.
yes.
It can wait.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that January 1st day really set the trajectory. When I got sober, it really set the trajectory for what was gonna happen. And I do believe like that is a bigger power that is beyond me. I also believe it's because my purpose here is greater than the small little purpose that I thought being on a red carpet was supposed to be.
Right.
Isn't it funny how priorities change?
Yes.
Because you asked me now, like, there's going to be a red carpet you want to cover in Hollywood Boulevard. I'm like,
no.
It was fun when we were in our 20s.
Yes.
We were
Yes.
single.
Yes.
But now perspectives change, priorities change. No, I want to be in my PJs, enjoying my family, in my case, a glass of wine. But it's just like the simple things in life matter more.
Yes.
Instead of being out interviewing stars that, guess what, at the end of the day, they're humans.
Yeah.
Just like you and I.
Yeah. Yeah. All the things that validated me before don't validate me the same. Like being picked to be on TV or having the dream job, like that none of that defines me the way that it used to. And getting sober, like really truly understanding who I am, what brings me joy, how am I able to like manage my life, and just like I have the power to be able to do that. And then going through breast cancer, and then I just am like, damn, I am so strong.
Yeah.
I am so strong. And so that's super empowering. That's been like that is what validates me is what we already like, what I already
and you're
have.
and you're inspiring so many women also.
Yeah.
You're such a great advocate and you're so positive. I mean, your stories are, they're so wonderful and deep. And I went through all the little stories that you did, and no makeup with your little cap on, and at the hospital and out of the hospital and after chemo. Those are so touching, those moments. But you also give so many women the strength that even if you are diagnosed with cancer, that there is a journey. And that's, tell us more about that journey as well. Like, what was the process? Was it like a whole year to recover, or was it shorter?
It actually happened very quickly. I was diagnosed. I had a lumpectomy, and then I had a unilateral mastectomy. So I lost my right breast, and that was all within like 6 months. And then radiation.
That's very fast.
It was very, very fast. Everything moved very, very quickly. I have not had a reconstruction yet, so I can and will probably at a later time. But it all just moved so quickly. It was kind of like whiplash. And actually, the videos that you're kind of talking about, I created a documentary about my experience as a journalist. Like that's what we do, right? Like we document what's happening in life. I always say like I'm an original content creator. I'm a journalist. Thank you. Right? Before like content creation was a thing, but I'm so glad that I did, because I'm able to like walk through. I'm like, I don't even remember half of the stuff that I went through.
Right.
It was so jarring to be living it like simultaneously. Like I was very much in survival mode when all of this was happening.
And I think your body protects you from that, right?
Yes.
Notice how when you go through a lot of pain, your brain, it's almost like it wants to forget that pain.
Yeah.
And now you look back at those videos and like, well, all the details. Right?
Yes, that I don't even I don't really remember,
or you want to remember, but they're there, and it's going to help someone else.
Yeah.
How did you manage being a mom while going through all of this?
Honestly, they were my purpose. They were the reason. The doctor said to me, my job, when he told me that I had to have a mastectomy, he said, my job is to make sure that you are here for your babies for as long as possible. And when he said that, everything was, I'm like, take my right arm if you have to. Like, I do whatever you have to do. They were my absolute purpose. So it kind of actually, it totally gave me strength to keep going. We did not tell my kids because they were really kind of young. And so
But when they saw you in the hospital, what did they ask?
We really kept them.
How did you hide them?
Yeah. Mommy had to go to work.
Oh, wow.
Mommy has to work.
Wow.
That's what happened when you're a working mom. I just be like, Mommy has to go to work.
Work all day.
She has mommy's going on
What
a
about
trip.
your recovery, though?
Mommy working on her?
No, I just had great help.
Amazing.
And yeah, no, they were the reason that kind of kept me going 1,000%.
Yeah.
So you talk about your unilateral mastectomy, and you share that a lot in your social media, and it brought me to tears because you're the one crying. And now I love how I see you so, just you're bubbly and so happy, full of life and energy, literally. But take us back to when you see yourself for the first time in the mirror, and your body is different.
Yeah.
It's still beautiful. It's just different. But how do you process that? And now, just because you mentioned that you are going to have reconstruction.
Yeah.
And I always say that a pair of boobs doesn't define us, but it is a part of femininity that makes us feel just beautiful.
It's also it's also a part of you that's been with you for your entire life, right? Like people don't really talk that much about it, right? It's like, well, it's a boob and it has cancer, so you have to get rid of it. Well, that's fine, and I totally agree. Like that is 1,000% true, but it's still a part of you that's being amputated. Like there's it's a part of your body that is being amputated. And it took me about 6 weeks before I finally saw my body.
6 weeks.
Yeah,
after the bandages come off and everything, right?
I just couldn't. I would close my eyes.
Okay.
I would, when I showered, I'd close my eyes, my head up, and I just grab like.
So you wouldn't see yourself in the mirror.
I just wasn't ready to see it. And then when I did, I was actually getting fitted for a mastectomy bra and a prosthetic, which is like a chicken cutlet kind of thing.
Yeah, like a padding.
Yeah.
And
is that what you have on now?
Yes.
Okay.
And her name is Nipsey.
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 She's my ride or die.
Yeah. See, I love how you flip things around. You're like, I'm gonna need you.
Yes, my best friend. Yes, so it kind of like makes me feel complete and whole. And actually this morning when I was getting dressed, I like I'll just take a beat. I'm like, okay, I have a scar that runs from my breastplate right here all the way across.
Right.
And I lost my nipple, so I just I'm okay now.
Mhm.
This is just my body. This is like my journey. A lot of people say, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. And I'm like, I'm a better person for it. I am so great. I mean, I am so grateful that I went through this. I understand that's a privilege because a lot of women do not have that to be able to say that.
Yes.
But truly, it has been the greatest thing that has showed me perspective, that has showed me my strength, that has showed me the value of my community, the people who have like cared for me, my husband, my family. I see, like I said, it's like Technicolor, like everything is brighter. Everything is more beautiful. I lost that part of me. I gained so much more.
And I think that's your life lesson.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
that is.
Yeah.
Well, talk about your life lesson. I mean, you're literally parlaying it into a book
Yes.
now. So you're taking all of these beautiful and difficult experiences, and I'm sure there's so much more even before that journey started.
Yeah.
So how has writing your book been?
So therapeutic. You know, once the show was canceled and I realized like I was still kind of going through recovery. Like I had just gone through radiation. I had really bad burns. I'm now out of a job. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do next? And I really felt called to start writing my story. And, it's so interesting because the breast cancer portion is the newest part of my journey. And it's really only like a third, if that.
Oh, really?
Then there's the sobriety part.
Right.
There's the dream. There's the dreamer. There's the anxiety. There's the small little girl who just aspired for so much more. And then I arrived and just really feeling uncomfortable in that kind of success, not ever feeling like I belonged or that I was worthy. The way that I coped was with alcohol. The way that I felt worthy was with alcohol. And then my childhood, growing up in a very poor family where my dad was in jail most of my life and my mom raised us on welfare and food stamps. And, we weren't really taught to dream bigger than outside of the small town that I lived in.
You didn't have time to dream.
No,
In that
we were just
reality.
had to survive.
We know
Survival,
that feeling.
yeah.
That's what connects us all.
Yeah.
Well, at least in this room, and I
Yeah.
know with many of our listeners and subscribers.
Yeah, and I do feel like my mom meant well, but it was really like that. Those dreams that you have are not for people like us, and I just was like, I think they are. I think they're for me. I think I'm gonna go for it.
Yes.
And so the book has been so therapeutic. I'll get through a chapter and I'm like, I just therapied my way out of that whole situation in that chapter where I'm just like writing, I'm like, oh, and then this, and it's been so cathartic and therapeutic. I have learned my dad passed 10 years ago, who was absent anyway, and an alcoholic, which is also something that I needed to unpack. But and just finding forgiveness and compassion and empathy to a man who I had long put away, who had hurt me so much, and then just like really kind of looking at him in a whole new way. It's been really good.
Kristina, your book, She Believed She Could?
Yes.
She Believed She Could.
Believed She Could.
Can be a movie.
Yes.
It
Yes.
can totally be a movie.
Do you know
to
anybody?
Inspire.
I know.
Well,
That means we're in Hollywood.
I know.
Yes.
Somebody could be listening.
It is. You've gone. I mean, we have not even an hour with you, and we feel like we've just touched the tip of the iceberg with you, with
just
everything that
surface.
you've lived since you were a young girl.
Yeah, and I think that's the interesting thing about, like, you asked about the vulnerability and authenticity that I've been putting into my content lately. And it's really because there is this like idea of who I am, like, right? The little cute Latina on the red carpet, and
see the
she's-
glamorous side.
and
Yes.
she's like the first Latina, go Kristina. And I do love that, and that's certainly a part of my story. But oh my gosh, like how I even got to that point, and then what I've had to endure from, debilitating anxiety and panic attacks to a drinking problem to breast cancer and sobriety, and it's just been, and I'm 45, like,
Wow, what a ride.
Yeah.
Like,
What a
what's
roller
next?
coaster, right?
I want to take it back to panic attacks. When
Mm-hmm.
did that happen, and how did that was brought up?
Yeah, I think the panic attacks that I had, they really kind of started when I got onto TV.
Really?
And I really do believe it was because I aspired to do all of this And I really went into it thinking like, I can do this. You know, you don't achieve your dreams really doubting yourself. So there was never any doubt. But once I reached those coveted, like beautiful, sacred, you know, dreams, I was so afraid to lose them. Yes. And it became very clear that those voices when I was little, it was like, not for us. Like, that's not, like, you're not pretty enough. You're not talented enough. You're not good enough. You're not white enough. That those, like, little voices had certainly been living there. Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, like, they were just, like, really loud.
Like imposter syndrome. Like, they're going to find out that I don't belong here.
Yes. Wow. And I mean, certainly, like, being at E-News, like, I didn't belong there, right? Like,
of course,
I'm the brown girl.
You belonged there.
Thank you. It didn't look like that.
It didn't. We didn't have a lot of people that look like us. Yeah. And so when you don't have a lot of people that look like you feel like you are not welcome into the room. Mm-hmm. But the truth is that we have to put ourselves in the room and everybody needs to feel uncomfortable and we need to feel more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, you know, like we had ourselves to look at, you know, and to look to. And that was always those moments where they were difficult because we were experiencing things that maybe we hadn't before, right? Even through the entertainment and what we were going through in the industry. But you did belong and you were beautiful. And because you were on TV, there were other little girls and other women that were looking to you and saying this is possible. Because there were people our age that were looking at you saying this is possible.
Yeah, we just had a guest in the previous episode and she saw you. She's like, oh my God, Kristina Guerrero's here.
I do. I'm so humbled by that. And I just wish like I would, you know, I suffered in silence. This like feeling of like not like feeling worthy enough, I suffered in silence. Like I was just like, do not mess up. And so because I did that, I was like, panic attacks. I'm like, give me a Xanax. Wow. Like, can somebody help me manage? Like you were
medicating it.
I just really wish I could have just been like,
let me be honest.
I'm like feeling super out of place. Can you help? Like,
let's chat.
Can we like work through this?
Yes.
But instead, it was just like all just. And so then I medicated, you know, I medicated through Xanax or through alcohol to like silence those voices. So yeah, no, panic attacks debilitating. Like where there was times, and I write about this in the book, that I couldn't even go to work. People wouldn't know that because I would like make excuses, but I would be on
Call
set.
them sick, right?
I'd be on set and I would like start having a panic attack and I'm like, I just don't feel good. Meanwhile, I'm like having a panic attack. You know, goodness. I'm like, and so there was a lot that I continue to like work through.
It's good that you're working on it with your book, which I'm sure
and
is
with
going to
you
inspire.
guys with my comadres.
Yes. I want to show you something. I want to show a video because I think this is I love what you do. Besides, you know, sharing your journey, it's like you're still reminding people, especially during this month. Yeah. So let's show this video.
Okay.
And see the warrior Kristina.
Hi, this is me. Don't worry, everything's okay. Just checking in to remind you all to please get your mammograms. I completed treatment last year and I'm so grateful that I am still here today. And of course, I am reminded daily, right? The change in my body reminds me, not ready to show you guys that, reminds me daily of what I went through, what I survived. But also, you know, I come to my appointments with my oncologist still every, is it 6 months now, healthy. And I'm so grateful for that. So anyway, just a reminder to please don't ever forget that. Don't put it aside. Don't put it off for another day or another month or another year. Just your friendly PSA from your friendly breast cancer survivor.
Survivor! She's a survivor!
A warrior.
If we had voices, we would sing to you. But I love that you do that because, you know, it's so important it's part of your mission now. You know, here I am. And you're still being fun with this whole journey. Yeah. Which a year ago, you weren't like that. But it took you a year to get to this place, and look at you now. You're just literally a beacon of hope. If she was able to survive, I could probably have something, but I'm going to be like that next year.
I had this, my radiologist, he walked into the room and his I'm like shell shocked about everything that's going on. He had this huge smile on his face and he was like, just like the nicest, happiest guy. And at the very end, he's like, so do you have any questions? And I was like, yeah, you're really happy. Like, what's going on? And me and my husband are just like, oh,
he's so happy.
and he's like, I'm not in the business of cancer. I'm in the business of hope. And he's like, and that's where this comes from. And so for me, like, I'm in the business of hope.
Comforting.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
You mentioned your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine women going through this on their own. You've been so blessed.
Yes.
Because you also mentioned you lost your job.
Yes.
So thankfully, with your husband,
I'm looking for a right boob and a right job. Anyone? Anybody?
Contact Comadres,
And both are coming. Both are coming your way.
But I just think it's amazing that you had that amazing, strong support
Yeah.
through your husband, who's able to worry about the finances and worry about the house and the kids, so you can take care of yourself. But imagine women that don't have that.
I know. That's why it's so important. That's when you're talking about your comadres. I had many women come to me who have gone through this, and they're like, if you need someone to go to your doctor's appointment or to your treatment, or it's so important to have to find a community. Yeah, no, my husband was amazing. He's such a caregiver anyway. Like, he puts on his like superhero cape, and like that's his like love language is taking care, which for like, he's married to a very independent Latina, and so sometimes I'm like, I can do it myself. But in this time, like, he really took care of me and took care of the kids and kept everything going. So my heart breaks for people who don't. And there are certainly resources and communities that can be there for other people to. Women.
Yeah. Like this weekend, I know in LA, we're here in LA, there are free clinics, which we're going to share those addresses.
Yes.
Because these free clinics happen during the month of October.
Yes.
So we have to take advantage of those free clinics for women of low income, status.
Yeah.
But this is great when they don't, to not feel ashamed, because people do feel like ashamed. I don't have insurance. I don't have time. I don't have a husband. Who's going to take care of the kids?
Right.
You don't want to tell the kids, but take advantage of those free clinics,
Yes.
right? I mean, para eso están.
Yes.
From Komen.
That's so important. Yeah,
Susan G.
so
Komen.
the
Yes.
Komen.org website, and
Yes.
then the FDA website, the Federal Food and Drug Administration website, FDA.gov. They have resources
As
for
well.
free
Yes.
or low cost mammograms.
Yes.
And we'll link those onto the episode below on the YouTube, so you can check those links out with resources for the resources.
So I feel like we're doing our job or our part by contributing during this month. But for women that want to help out or assist, like, now that you've learned so much in the year and a half, what can women do to add more to advocating for us? Like, if comadres are watching right now, like, what can they do? To just spread the word, share this episode.
Yes,
is
share
one
this
way.
episode. I think what women can do is they get their mammograms and then they share their experience.
Even if it's their family.
Yes, absolutely. After I got my mammogram and was diagnosed with cancer and stuff, I called my sister, who's a couple years older than me, and she's like, I've never gotten a mammogram. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, inspire, go and do it, and then spread that message to other women. I think that is the most important thing. Although you guys have not talked about when was the last time you got your mammogram?
I'm also like Mindy, where I have to go like every 6 months. So I just got one done in May, and I'm supposed to get one done
for a
month.
mammo every 6 months.
Yes, because I have dense breasts, and I also noticed a little something.
A little dot.
So they
Okay.
told me to come back in 6 months, which is now,
Got
for
it.
a mammogram and an ultrasound.
Okay.
Yeah,
late
so-
November.
Yeah.
That's my next one,
Okay,
yeah.
good. And then you
Yeah.
guys share that. I feel like
Yes.
bringing awareness and just making it more, like getting your vaccine or getting your flu shot or whatever, like, make it so just obvious that that's what you have to do. I think that is. Like,
It's got to
the
be a
best thing.
priority, like your hair, like getting your highlights
Yes.
done and getting your nails done and getting all those.
Just normalizing it
yeah,
and
completely.
spreading the
Yeah.
word
Put
and
it in your
reminding
calendar.
also,
Yeah.
not just October, right? But
right.
Yeah.
throughout
exactly.
the year.
Yeah.
And not feel bad that you haven't done it, but just get it done now.
Get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like water under the bridge, but get it done now. Like, call today. When
It's
you guys
never
listen
too
to this
late.
episode,
Yeah.
call and make an appointment.
There was one
Yes.
thing, like, when it first happened, my husband, I really didn't tell anybody because I was still processing it, but I allowed my husband, I was like, you can talk to your family about it, but just don't have them call me, because I wasn't really ready to talk about it.
Right.
And when I told my girlfriends too, I was like, I don't want to hear from anybody. If you need to make a phone call, instead of calling me, call and make your mammogram. Like, that's all I want from you. That's all I need. That's all I want. And I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me and they're like, I heard your story and I made my mammogram. I was like, praise Jesus. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah. As long as you make a difference in one person's life, you can say, for this year,
worth it.
Yes, I've done my deed. Right?
Yes.
And yes, you're right. That's a great idea. When I didn't do it this year. You know why I didn't take a picture this year? This is so dumb. Every year when I go get my mammo, you know, they give you the pink robe.
Yeah.
So I'm in that little locker room and I'm doing my little social media secretly because I don't want women to hear it. Because I'm like, oh my, it does feel awkward. You know, you're in this place and it's a serious place. But this year, I didn't do any social media because they didn't give me the freaking pink robe. And I was
it doesn't count.
so upset. They gave me a gray robe. And I was like, I am not doing so. But I am going to share it when I go to the ultrasound. So I promise. Because those posts matter. They do.
Because it's like, I meant to do
Spark
that.
the conversation.
Yeah. Yes. And I think women, I really do think women don't necessarily are like anti getting their mammogram. I really do think they're like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. I meant to make that appointment. Kind of like what you're saying. Like, I meant to get there.
But that means that we're not prioritizing our health and ourselves because everything else comes first. But women, you have to understand, if we don't take care of ourselves, everything in the household is not going to function 100%. Yeah. Because the day that we get sick, we knows what happens when we get a flu or a cold. Oh, yeah. The house is a mess.
Yes, exactly.
So we have to take care of ourselves first in order to take care of our families.
I mean, I hate to put it so bluntly, but sometimes people are just like, oh, I just don't have time. I'm like, well, you know when you're not going to have time? When you're dead because you died of cancer. So like, go get it done. Make it a priority.
That cannot be the excuse. Because we have time to watch. Binging on Netflix. We have time to go to the movies or time to have a drink. We prioritize things. We just really have to make it.
It's got to be part of, I think, self-care. I think it's got
self-love, it is self-love.
Self-love, you know, love yourself enough to go get checked. So Mindy's going to make that colonoscopy appointment.
We're going to go together. Let's go together.
We're going to hold hands.
This is going to be a double whammy right here. Colonoscopy, mammo, ultra. That's a triple threat.
Vamos a quedar bien manoseadas. Bien manoseadas.
Kristina, what I want to hear is, you know, I know we're wrapping up the episode, but what is one message, like a message that you would give to somebody who just was diagnosed?
You're stronger than you think. That's the message. Like, it seems insurmountable. It seems like it seems dire. But you're stronger than you think. And don't be in the business of cancer, be in the business of hope. All my doctor said, the number one thing is, if you have hope, you've won half the battle. So I would definitely say that, like, having a good attitude and really feeling like I got this, I think is really what got me through too.
In Spanish, there's a saying that says, mientras hay vida, hay esperanza. As long as you're still living, there's hope.
There's hope.
Yeah. Just what you said, there's hope. So as the exercise that we're going to do right now to close this chapter is, se vale tocar! Tatas, tetas, titis, chichis, whatever you want to call them. What do you call them? Your breast
friends. Yeah, the breast friends.
Our breast friends.
Yes. You know, se vale tocar, and that is
self-exams.
And we did do an episode where si se tocaron.
We were actually feeling each other. Because we were talking about breast augmentation. So saline, silicone, what feels softer and natural.
But it's so funny that you do say that, because I'm like touching myself right now. It just always felt awkward to like be touching my boob in the shower, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
self-exams.
It's important. It saves lives. You know, let's save our lives. So thank you so much, Kristina, for joining us in this very important month.
So inspiring.
Very.
So inspiring.
Yes.
Keep it going, girlfriend.
Yes.
I can't wait to read this book.
Oh gosh. I hope I always say, like, it's really like very intense topics, but I try to make it fun and try to make it funny. Life can be really funny if you find those moments. And so, you know, we're going to get deep and we're going to cry. So, I read a chapter and I just was bawling my like, you're so good, Kristina. You're so strong, Guerrero. You keep going.
See, she believed she could and she did. So F-U-C-K, fuck cancer.
All
right. We love you, Kristina.
Thank you guys so much. That was awesome.
Quinta Comadre in the house.
Comadre with high heels.
Thanks for tuning in today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We'd love to see your reviews and hear your thoughts. You can also follow Comadres Unfiltered on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more updates. New episodes every Tuesday. Until next time, comadritas.